What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Seven Figure Flipping Podcast. This is Bill Allen, and today I'm going to do a short podcast on my bold market predictions for 2022. It's the first time I've gone on record to talk about this stuff, but I'm going to give some predictions of what I think is going to happen this year.
My name is Bill Allen, and I'm the leader of a group of elite house flippers and wholesalers called Seven Figure Flipping. We don't brag or show off our success, but instead let integrity and stewardship be our guide. We are dedicated to helping people unlock the freedom they desperately need. If you ask other real estate investors, they will say to keep your secrets quiet. But we believe in abundance, not scarcity, and that's why we are the elite. We are Seven Figure Flipping, and this podcast is our playbook.
All right, everybody, I am making some bold predictions today. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm thinking for the real estate market in 2022, and also my best tips on how you can get started and what this means for you and what you can do either to get started or to grow your business in 2022, assuming that all these things happen, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is what's happened over the past couple of years. As we look back, we see a lot of this pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic is what's been kind of like controlling supply chain issues, the market cycles, things like that. If you remember back in February of 2020, we were on a cruise, our mastermind was on a cruise, we get back and then around March, it's like everything was hit the US, right? Came over from China, hit the US and slowed everything down for like 3 to 6 months basically. And nobody was selling houses, everybody's saying the real estate market was gonna crash, all this stuff was gonna happen. And government has been bailing us out for a very long time since. But supply became really, really low and demand for housing went up. And that's what certain people that I follow were saying at that time. They were like, just wait. Like, people are going to be locked in their house. They're going to wish that they had a home office. They're moving from office space into their houses and things like that. And this is coming from somebody who just bought an office building, right? So I just bought an office building for Seven Figure Flipping. We'll probably do a whole show on that. We'll talk about it more. But I want to get back to the office. I want to get back in person. We did this Flip Hacking Live event in October, and getting back in person was massive for me and our whole community. So we've gone on an interesting cycle, but there's still a major demand issue for real estate, and there's not a huge supply still. So supply and demand is definitely going to be an equation that has to be watched here. One thing that I think is the driver, like the thing that I look at the most in all of this, is the consumer feel of things. Like, how does the buyer out there, the people with money, how do they feel? Do they feel flush with cash, or do they feel like they don't have any cash or any money? So there's lots of different things that I get to see. I get to see the job market. We're hiring people right now, so I get to see the job market, the people that are expecting higher pay, or they're holding out for something better, or they're wanting certain things, and they can be selective in the marketplace, right? So if they have the skill, if they're really good at what they do, then they have the opportunity to kind of shop around. I remember when the market kind of was in a weird place around that mid 2020 time. We could hire anybody, like everybody wanted a job, right? So hiring became very easy. And now it's more challenging again for the past kind of year, and still is. So looking at that, like, how does the market react? Like, how do you feel? How do you feel right now in your house? How do you feel with your finances? How do you feel in all of that is going to be really important as we continue this conversation. So the customer feel and the consumer out there is going to be really important. So right now I feel like across the board, primarily like in middle and upper class, I would say, feels like money is there, it's available, things are good, times are good, right? And so what's going to happen is over this course of 22, what I think is going to happen is we're going to see the Fed has already talked about raising rates. And as we see some rates come up, we're going to feel some backlash from that. And the consumer is not necessarily going to feel like they don't have money anymore, but they're going to feel like their money is not as valuable. It's going to start becoming more apparent. It already is happening, right? Inflation does this. So inflation is ticking up. We're printing money faster than we ever have before, right? Bailing people out. And so inflation is starting to go up, and people are starting to realize that. Like, the cost of bread and the cost of milk and the cost of things are going up, and it's improportional. It's not proportional to their income changing. And they don't necessarily see this or feel this today. But I think in 2022 they are. I think more people are going to start talking about it. I think it's going to become readily apparent through those times. I think a lot of those things are going to happen, and there's going to be a little bit more fear and a little bit more adjustment. So what does that mean? So in all of this, inflation is coming up. They're starting to realize that inflation's happening. The rates are going to change. With some rate increases, it's possible that we're going to see some people start making adjustments to their portfolio. And what happens there is we start seeing some dips in the stock market. I don't think the stock market is going to crash, but I think that we can see some dips and drops in the stock market. When that happens, what we see is we see uncertainty, and we see the consumer start feeling like they don't have as much money. It's perceived feel of money. And so what they do is they stop spending money and they bring it back in. They start hoarding it back and not spending it like they are right now. And what that does is there's a backlash all around. So retail starts seeing that. And what you guys really care about is real estate. But what you have to see is more macroeconomics and the big picture of all this. And I think it's all driven by that consumer feel. And when you start taking a step back and you start looking at that, you can start seeing trends and things that happen and where they start spending their money and what they're looking for. And you might not be moving into another house, or you might not be buying that other car, or you might not be doing those certain things that you were doing just because you feel like you don't have as much money. And when you feel good and you feel like you have more money, and you know that, or you have a feeling that going forward you're going to continue to make more money, right? That's the other thing, is if you feel like there's a certainty that you're going to be making more money in the future than you are right now, you'll buy things that you can't necessarily afford. Maybe the bigger house, the nicer car, the other things that you're buying. So in all that, it becomes a cycle. So what does that mean for real estate in 2022? What I think that we are going to see what we've seen in the past few like year and a half, basically, is just a hike in real estate prices, and prices go up in a linear fashion, but very steep, right? And so that's what we're seeing. So what I think we're going to see is we're not going to necessarily see a decline in 2022. I don't think. Remember, this is my field, but more of a leveling off and slower increase in pricing. And as we start watching the supply and demand equation, and as it starts kind of ticking down a little bit with rates going up, people are saying, well, I can't afford that nice of a house that I was being able to afford before because my payment is going to be much higher. I don't qualify for as much. The rates are higher, all of that stuff. We're going to start seeing it slow down in growth a little bit. But I do think in 2022, and I realize I'm making a bold prediction here, and I'm breaking out like the crystal ball that I almost never do. I think that that's what we're going to see. We're going to see prices continue to increase, but slower. I think we'll see kind of a leveling out of the market a little bit. But we don't drive this podcast, and I don't drive our mastermind and all of these things based on fear, which I think a lot of people put out there of, oh, the market's going to crash. It's just not now, but when's it going to happen? The real estate market's going to crash. The stock market's going to crash. Sky's falling, all this stuff. I just don't know how that is going to happen the way that a lot of people are saying it's going to happen. So I do think it'll flatten out. I do think that we'll see slower increases. And I think that there's a way to make money in any market. And that's where I think you should spend your time. That's where I think you should learn. That's where I think you should be putting a lot of your effort into, is where do you fit in all of this, and what does that mean for you? And whether the market is going up or going down, you just realize I can make money in this market, and I just need to figure out how. And how do I fit, and what's my skill set? So that's my kind of take: stabilized and slower growth of pricing marketplace. I think we are going to see a dip in the stock market. What I think is really good about that is, and I'm not sure how the Fed's going to react, and I'm not sure how the president's going to react to any of this stuff, or anyone out there, how they're going to react to increasing interest rates, potential decrease in the stock market, and people feeling like they don't have a lot of money, then maybe some selling off happening and the stock market coming down even more. It could very simply be, well, hey, we're actually going to drop the rates again, and to correct for this. I do think that the federal government right now is motivated to make the consumer feel good. And that's what they've been doing for the past few years, and I think that will continue. They'll figure out how to do that. Keep printing off money, things like that. So in all of this, if the stock market is going down, this is a great place and time for a stable or slowly increasing real estate market, not seeing this huge real estate crash just because supply and demand is not tilted in that direction yet. So being able to kind of take some of the money off the table as people are selling off their stocks and seeing some volatility in the marketplace, to be able to talk about what you do to promote your real estate business, to talk about how they can invest in a stable asset, something that's backed with a secured asset, an actual piece of property that will be there next week, next month, and 5 years from now. And start looking at how we can educate that and talk about what we do, and start developing yourself as a leader in that world, in that space. So how are you positioning yourself, even if you've never started, to understand the real estate market, to understand the business side of things, to understand all of that? Like, how are you positioning yourself? Whether it's talking about what you do on social media, whether it's getting active and involved, going to meetup groups, becoming a member of a mastermind, buying a course or a program, listening to a podcast, becoming an expert. Like, now's your time to become the expert. Because you don't have to become the expert when an expert's needed. You need to become the expert ahead of time. So a lot of that is figuring out your journey and where you fit in all of this and your timeline. So a lot of people I talk to are like, well, I can't start now, it's too expensive. I can't start now, it's too competitive. I can't start now because the prices are too high. Like, the best time to start was last month, last year, 5 years ago, but the second best time to start right now, like right this second. Getting experience and not just opinions is gonna be the most important thing that you can do. Actually get an experience. Go out there and send some cards. Go out there and knock on some doors. Buy a course and watch some videos. Read a book. Like, get my free book and learn. Like, now is the time. If there's never been a time, it's now. And to just jump in and figure it out and find your way. It doesn't matter what happens. If the market goes up or goes down or stays stable, or regardless of what happens, you can make money. I promise you that. Like, there's people that are out there that are making money in up markets, down markets, flat markets, everything in between. And so it's up to you to go out there and get the experience, though. So what my thoughts are: increased inflation, as we see, increased interest rates that have been talked about and said we're going to have multiple increased interest rates throughout this year, a decrease in the stock market, and I don't think it'll be a huge crash, like 50% crash reduction like we saw during COVID, but something that's more reasonable, something that drops, a sell-off. You can kind of see it happening. And then I do think that real estate will stay stable or increase, just at a slower rate than what we've seen in the past. And all really good things, in my opinion, in 2022 for a real estate investor. Because all this stuff lines up with what you need. You need you need money to come into your real estate business. And that usually comes from the stock market or changing people's thoughts on where they're investing their money right now and how you might be able to provide a better return or a more stable return or a safer return, or all those things that you can provide for them in real estate. It's going to provide you with some slow and appreciation inside of what you're doing. It'll provide a platform for you to have. There is still pent-up demand. There's still a limited amount of supply. So if you can provide supply for the marketplace. The other thing that it could potentially do is it could potentially bring out some more motivated sellers than we've had in the past. And so as consumer feel like drops, you feel like you have less money, the people that are in distress, financial distress, that are in there now that you don't even see, the lower class, the people that don't have a lot of money right now, they are actually in hard times right now where the middle class and upper class are not. And so they're in hard times to make it even harder. You're going to see some more motivation. What does that mean? Not that you can take advantage of them, but the fact that you can reach out and help them. That we will have some more motivated sellers, hopefully open up some more opportunities for you if you're just getting started, or you've been doing this for a long period of time, to jump in and get going in real estate. So those are some of my thoughts on it in a very succinct amount of time, but I've thought that I would put that out there to you and see kind of what you think. I'm interested to hear what you guys think. You should respond to the email that we send out. If you're not on our email list, you can go to sevenfigureflipping.com and jump on it, but respond, let us know. Send us an email and tell me what you think. Inside of our social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram and all the other places that we post this, just let us know. What do you think is going to happen? I'm interested to hear your thoughts. And we have a mastermind meeting coming up this week. So we have hundreds of real estate investors, about 300 real estate investors that are going to be flying into Nashville, Tennessee to have a meeting in Franklin, not right down the street from where I live. And we're going to get together for 4 days straight. And we're going to talk about all this stuff. And I'm going to be able to listen to them and understand what they think and see the ideas and the plans that they have for this marketplace and their business and what's going to change and happen. And then we have something that's really cool. So if you want to be a part of that, by the way, you can go to sevenfigurealtitude.com. By the time this comes out, you'll have 1 or 2 days to jump in and fly down here. But I'm telling you, we've had plenty of people in the past that have heard a podcast, got on a call with us, and the next day they're at a mastermind meeting, blew up their business, exploded their business in the next couple years. Tanner and Travis Larson are two that I can remember. They came to this event in San Diego. They met Justin, got on a phone call with him through their cousin or something like that. The next day they were in San Diego at our mastermind meeting. It was our third meeting or something like that, third or fourth meeting. And I just remember hearing about them, their story, what they were doing, and to see their growth and trajectory over the past few years is insane. They are unbelievable business and operation now, it's really incredible to see. And I won't say it's all because of seven-figure flipping, but I'll tell you, their business was very different when they showed up to that first meeting. And I'm sure that your business will be very different when you leave here after a couple days with us and this whole group and this mastermind, this collective of people than before you got there. So that can be you too. The difference is they took action. They actually did something. They said, you know what? Yeah, it's tomorrow and we're getting on a plane. We're going to do it and let's go. And they made a decision and went. And they kept doing that over and over and over again. That wasn't a one-time thing. It wasn't a get rich quick, I'm going to come to this meeting and everything's going to be great. But I saw them, I watched them do that, and I've seen many people do that since. There's quite a few people that I'm thinking about right now that have done that very same thing. I've seen people at Flip Hacking Live that 2 days before they bought a ticket for $1,000, got on a plane, flew down there, left their kids, and joined the Runway program and have an amazing business now. And it's really incredible to see because they took action, they did something. So that's a big point here. You've got to take action. Like, this needs to be your year of taking action if you want it to be a year of change for you. If you want to be in a different place tomorrow than you are today, you have to do something about it. And we want to be there with you, and we can walk alongside of you. It would be great. The other thing that we're doing this year is we're doing an in-person meetup. So we bought this office building here in Spring Hill, Tennessee, and I want to put together a meetup, real estate club, networking event, stuff like that we're going to have. So if you live all around the country and you're listening to my voice right now, you can come to one of our meetups here in Nashville, Tennessee. You can fly in, you can drive in if you're close by, and if you're one of our members, if you're not a member, it doesn't matter. You can come, network. I'm going to be teaching. I'm going to be bringing people together. We're going to do deals together. We're going to do some really exciting stuff there. So I'm really pumped about that. We can hold about 150 people inside of our auditorium, and we have some really cool stuff planned for that. So we can have a meeting of up to 150 people in person. It's going to be really great. So more to come about that, but I would say that is a big thing for you to do. If you are wondering what you can do to get started, it's to take action. It's to go to a meetup. It's to get involved with the community. It's to come in and attend some of our virtual events and our live events and things like that. It's just take action. Like, get the book. Go to 7ffbook.com, grab my book, start reading, and start taking action from those things. Like, there are so many things that you can do this year, but it all starts with you deciding, committing, and acting. Like, you have to take that action. Like, what are you going to do? Stop sitting on the sidelines, have an experience, stop having an opinion, and get out there and do something. It's very, very different from somebody who has an opinion on real estate, who has an opinion on the market, who has an opinion on what's happening, and then somebody that's actively involved and has an actual experience. Who would you rather take an advice from? Somebody who has an experience there, or somebody who has an opinion of it and has never actually done it, experienced it, anything like that? So that's the big difference. I think it's going to be huge for you this year. Go out there, take some action, get some experiences under your belt, and you will be better from it. You'll grow from it. You will fail, but that's okay because you're going to grow. You're going to succeed. You'll figure out and find a way. So hopefully this helps. There's my bold prediction. I am going on record, and I look forward to listening to this in January of 2023 and seeing how I did. All right. Remember, this is not financial advice. This is not legal advice, any of those things. I just feel a need to say that. This is how I feel the market's going to go, and this is how I'm positioning myself in the marketplace for the real estate market. And I really do want to be the person who is the expert that they come to when the stock market changes, or they don't feel as wealthy, or they want to figure out a different way to make money. And we can be that place to put their money, to position ourselves as the experts in everything that we do. So I hope you guys have a great day. I will see you on the next podcast, and I will probably be coming live from the 7-figure altitude event, the runway event, everything that we're doing here in Franklin, Tennessee. And if you're not there, you're going to be missing out. So don't miss it. Go to 7figurealtitude.com, fill out an application. We would love to see you at the event and everything that we do going forward. All right, I'll see you guys on the next show. Bye.